Welcome to All Things Retreat Podcast. I'm Holly Porter, your host and CEO of Retreat R&R. With over 25 years of experience in designing transformative retreats, I'm here to share insights and inspiration to help you create extraordinary experiences. Whether you're a pro or just starting out, you'll find valuable ideas here. Enjoy the ride. Let's dive in. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the show today. We're going to be talking about something a little juicy with my guest today, Natasha Noronha. She's got over 15 years of experience in promotions, business development, and marketing, and she focuses on growth strategies and community engagement. She's been featured on CNBC Radio's Kindness Matters and Facebook Live's Women Worth shows and Inspiring Innovators podcast. Natasha is an active member of Rotary International and her local Chamber of Commerce and the BBB member. She's worked with many nonprofit leadership committees, and I'm really happy to have her here to help spread some light about events and doing retreats, because they're all events, right? Yes, welcome to the show.
Hi, Holly. How are you doing?
Great. Well, anything else that you'd like to say before we're going to just dive into this? Is more conversational, but I have a lot of questions that I think really will help our listeners about doing events. And I know you've been doing them for a long time.
Yes.
And so anything you can think of before we get started?
Well, I think I'm really thankful that we finally met full circle. We actually met through an event.
Yeah, we did.
Yes, we met, and we met in a city that we both don't live in.
No.
So she was in Lake Elsinore. I was in Lake Elsinore because I had seen Manny's event on Eventbrite, and I said, you know what, this is not something I normally do. Like, we'll drive like 4 or 5 hours to go to a summit or an event like that, and because I do it locally in Arizona, but sometimes I go to San Diego, so it's just a 2-3 hour drivable distance. Same with Phoenix. So I said, you know what? Let me just go. Let me just. What is one event? Let's see where this takes me. Believe it or not, Holly, that was probably 2019, and now we're in 2025. So we've kept in touch virtually, but not always. We're going to see each other soon.
That's right. No, it's good. You know what? Some of my favorite people on the planet I met at events, and events are really have a soft spot for me because it gets people, usually they're out of town somewhere. Of course, since COVID, summits and online things are way popular now, but nothing beats an in-person retreat or event.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Getting in there, kicking off your shoes. Absolutely. And I just feel like you get to relax a little bit more. So because you've been more on the logistics side of it, and Retreat R&R has a concierge service that we offer, I want to talk about that today and how just a few things. I know we're not going to be able to dig super deep because we keep these shows fairly short, but I just want to ask you, like, when you're planning and preparing for something that you're doing on an event, what are the key steps that you do to plan it to ensure that it's successful?
Well, that's a loaded question, huh? We are all about solutions. So for us, we want to make sure that our client is seen and their brand is out there in a very positive manner. So we always tailor our events based on who is our target market. What do they want out of this? How many people do they want to be there? How can we boost the ads to reflect people clicking on their page? You know, is the SEO right? It's a whole campaign that we do when we consider an event. So for me specifically, I like to go see the venue in person first before I decide if this is where I want it to be. Then I imagine, because I'm a visual learner, I imagine, okay, if I'm going to be, if this was my event, how would I want it to look? Who are the strategic partners? Who are the people that are going to come to this event? And then I have to base all of my marketing and emails and texts to this specific event using their brand kit that they provide, or if they don't have one, we provide it. So that's honestly the first step, is understanding your client's brand so that you can target the right people and engage them with the right audience.
Absolutely. Well, when you go to market them, what strategies have worked best for you when you're marketing an event?
So depending on how much timeline they give me, it's very important to do not only the digital side of the marketing of the event, but also I'm old school, believe it or not. I still believe in guerrilla marketing. So I go to events that the chamber hosts. I'll, talk to my local BBB. I'll say, hey, I have this event. Is there any way you can promote this through your channel? And if they say yes, perfect. If you have to pay a little money, you do it because you know that they have the email list of the people that you're trying to target. Another thing is maybe I'll do a radio campaign. Maybe I will go to my local newspaper. Maybe I'll, go to my local schools. It really depends on what type of event that I am marketing. Because at the end of the day, without marketing, your events are not going to be very successful
Right.
because you're not going to get people to say, click, sign up, pay. Because at the end of the day, it costs money to make money.
Oh, it does. So when we talk about, like, for us doing our concierge service, we really want people and our clients to have a tribe of their own customers, their own email list, because
Mm-hmm.
that's one thing we don't do is
Mm-hmm.
fill it for them. We can help
Mm-hmm.
them with the promotional things, but we don't fill that. It has to be their
Correct.
people. So,
Correct.
unlike you, that might be part of yours where you would bring people to it. But when
Mm-hmm.
you are starting that process, how far in advance do you usually like to recommend to to put the date out? Because think
Mm-hmm.
about it, retreats are going to be a little more, especially if you're going international, it's going to be
Yes.
out further. That
Yes.
event's going to take
Yeah.
longer, right?
Of course.
And if you're doing an online summit, you can have a shorter time because
Yes. Yes.
people are squirrels and they're all over the place.
Yeah.
Like, oh,
Yeah.
it's next week. Yep, I can make it.
Yeah.
But you
Yeah.
still have to plan it way in advance. What would you suggest for events that you've done? What is your recommendation for that?
Um, Actually, I've had people give me a 3 day deadline. I've had people give me seven, and I've still produced people to come to the events. I'm pretty blessed that way with my network. I've worked really hard to keep in connection with people all over the country, all over the world. And I think that the like in person, when you trust somebody in person, you can trust them easily online. So, but for me, I would say what works the best is 6 to 8 weeks promotion, because the longer it's rotating online, whether it's on their website or Facebook or Instagram or Google ad, whatever you see, I think 6 to 8 weeks is a shorter timeline depending on what it is. So like if it's a summit, I would say you need at least 90 days of them seeing it because that ad was going to rotate, and then eventually one day they're going to be like, oh yeah, I remember that ad, I'm going to click and I'm going to sign up. But it really depends on how strongly you push your marketing dollars and how much paid ads you do. But then not everybody's going to find you on Facebook. So you got to have to be out there, also boots on the ground, to promote what you do, because otherwise you're going to depend on just your online ad spend versus saying like, okay, I'm going to go to this business mixer and I'm going to keep my flyer on hand because I know I have this summit coming and maybe they might know somebody. So
Right.
you have to kind of look on all different angles because you can't just depend on social media or Google, because there are people that are not going to find events through Facebook or not going to go through Meetup or not going to go through Eventbrite or whatever, channel that's out there, because that all costs the client money and it all cost you money. So it's not even just about money. It's about how are you going to get your brand out there? How are they going to see it? And how are they going to say yes? Is the price okay? Is the market is that what people are looking for in the market? Have you done your SEO where you're targeting the right people to come to your link? Do you have a landing page? Does it land somewhere? Does it work? Does it have a payment portal? You have to look at all those things because there's a reason why some people are not saying yes.
Yeah. For sure. Well, and I laugh when you say 6 to 8 weeks because with a retreat, I would say 6 months to a year, sometimes even 18 months out for international because of getting your venues lined up. They're booked.
Well, oh yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, see, maybe because I live in a small city. I live my city has about 100,000 people. So getting a venue is hard only during certain months because that's like
Right.
the wedding season and those type of things.
Sure.
But like we have a very transient community, a lot of military and a lot of like snowbirds that come here. So like from September to March, that's like heavy event season where
Yeah.
you're going to get a guaranteed customer. But then after April, it starts to pivot less on events, and so that's when the indoor can be happening more often. But
Right.
the issue with our town, there's not a lot of people that are in the space that I'm in. So garnering a customer for that is a little bit more difficult than if I'm in a bigger market where what you're looking for, Holly, for your retreats will be a little bit more easier to sell than if you had come to this small city that's close to the Mexican border.
But
So
I will say it still matters the event, the time of year, because like you mentioned, there's seasons. I mean, you wouldn't want, we mentioned this on one of our other shows, you wouldn't want to plan it during hurricane season,
no, no,
in the
that's true.
Bahamas or whatever.
True.
You have
Or
to
when it's
work out.
110 degrees outside in Arizona.
Yeah. 126 today. Oh, okay. Well, we're going on a hike. And you can't even do that in the middle of the night in Arizona in the
No,
summer.
no,
It's too hot. I
too
get
hot,
it.
too hot.
So
Yeah.
I think it's just, yeah, planning ahead. And if this is making you a little nervous, if these retreat leaders are listening or event people are listening, that's why it's so important to stay in your lane. I
Yep.
I think I'm so supportive of event producers and concierge services, because when you think about the time that you're saving putting it in there, spend
Mm-hmm.
that time on building
Mm-hmm.
your offer of what you're going to do at your next, seed your
Mm-hmm.
next best thing at that
Mm-hmm.
thing. Does that make
Yep.
sense?
Yep. Sometimes, like, I think as business owners and especially as business women, we're in this like market that I don't know how to explain it. Like, if we have to pivot with our business, things change, media trends change. You know, when COVID happened, that was one of the things that I was like, oh my gosh, I won't be having comedy shows, I'm not doing weddings, like people are not booking me, like what am I going to do? And
Yeah.
that's when I realized there was so many other skills I had besides events. I had this PR knowledge that came with the events. I have the marketing knowledge from my family being entrepreneurs. You know, they own a hospitality property management business. So I was around that ever since I was 10. So it only made sense when I turned 25 that I wanted to have my own business. And I didn't care about the times that I didn't make money, because I knew that some businesses, it takes them, you know, the first year they start making profit. Depends if they're what their model is and if they had investors. And there's a lot of XYZs, right?
Yeah.
But for me, I just felt that I want to be going to a job where I'm so passionate about it that it doesn't matter how many hours I put in a day, because I'm so passionate about it. And that's how events came to me. It's like I sought happiness in going to these comedy clubs during a difficult time in my life after a breakup. And I said, you know what? I'm going to make myself laugh. Even if I go alone, I'm going to go to these comedy shows. Believe it or not, people started noticing me in that comedy club in Tempe, improv, and other places, Comedy Store LA, San Diego. And the comics came to me and was like, are you a fan or what are you doing here? And I was like, you know what? It's just, I didn't tell them about it, that I was going through something. I said, you know what? Comedy is the window to happiness. And
Yeah.
for me, I'm happy being around this place, you know? Eventually, they gave me, one of the clubs gave me a promotion opportunity to promote for them. And then rest is history. Then I was managing comics, and then I was throwing my own events. So you got to, sometimes you have to be right place, right time. And sometimes it's about business relationships, just like how you're helping me understand the podcast world, because now I'm new to it. I have a new show, Inspiring Innovators. My last show last year was 7-Day Startup System, talking about the startup process of a business. Now I'm talking about how to inspire businesses and how inspirational we can be if we just, you know, high five each other instead of being like toxic and being like, oh, I don't want to work with her because she does what I do. No, it's not about that. It's about building a business of trust.
Okay. Well, I think especially since COVID, that what's been missing, and people are craving that connection. You know, everybody got
Mm-hmm.
isolated for so long, and they
Mm-hmm.
did show us that we can work from home and we can have online events, and your introverts probably love that, eat it up, but your
Yeah.
extroverts were climbing the walls, and retreats aren't going away. They're
No.
definitely online events. Any of them, they're going to keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger,
Mm-hmm.
because that connection has been
Yep.
missing.
Yep.
When you let's talk about like what helped stand out in like your most successful event that you can think of that you did. What do you think you did that made it memorable for people?
Well, people kept talking about it even after it was done.
Yeah.
The people were tagging me. People were like, "When are you going to do the next one?" Like, and it was like that viral moment where you're like, "Whoa!" Like, I can't believe this is actually happening. People are coming to me now to book events. I'm not going to them. Before it was me pitching the idea, saying, "Hey, I have this brilliant idea. What do you think about it?" I've already thought about the strategic partners. I've already thought who's going to be the speakers. I've already locked the venue. All I need is, this support that I should do it,
Yeah.
And, but yeah, for me, I think there's a win in every event that you do. You learn something from each and every one. You have critiques, you have forums, you have everything to ask people what was right and what was wrong. But it's about taking that data and saying, okay, from the first one, what was the wrong? The wrong was I didn't have many people at the bar, or I didn't have enough security. That's what, then you pivot and next time you have more security, and next time you
Yeah.
have more workers working it. Or like, oh, I could have spent more ad spend in social media because more people liked the page when I did that. So you have to, like, every event has to have a wrap up sesh, because if you don't have the wrap up sesh, you're doing yourself and your business a disservice, or your clients a disservice, because
Right.
maybe it wasn't a topic they wanted to hear, or maybe
Yeah.
it was they wish they could have had more of something else.
Yeah.
So I think the events business may seem easy to other people. It's like, oh, rent a hall, rent the people. I mean, not rent the people, pay the performers, get your speakers. But it's a lot of coordinating work.
There really is. And
When you had to come for Manny, I don't even know what hoops and bounds you had to do to come to Lake Elsinore. I really don't.
oh my gosh, I had spoke at like 3 events within a week's time, all in different big locations, and I just got back like the night before. And
Oh,
then
really?
I must have flown in. I'm trying to
No,
remember
but
how I
Lake
got there.
Elsinore
All I
doesn't have an
know it
airport.
was yeah,
Lake
it was a
Elsinore
lot.
doesn't have an airport. So
What's
you
that?
can't fly into Lake Elsinore. There's no airport.
Right. So I probably flew to San Diego and had to get up there. So it was an effort. Yeah, for
Yeah, that
sure.
is an effort. That is a big effort.
But it's
But
okay. I
it's
mean,
still
that's what we do. And
yeah.
I always think of things like how can you stand out? How can your event stand out over someone else? How can you as a retreat leader even what can you do different that isn't like everybody else that makes it unique? Because every event, depending on who shows up, is
Mm-hmm.
so different. The energy's different,
True.
just it's different. And so as a concierge, I always think of I was raised by a mom that was an interior designer, so she taught
Mm-hmm.
me that thing, you got to put those personal touches on everything, and
You're
that's
right.
how you stand out. And I think
You're
just
right.
those swag bags and different things that you can do that
Yeah.
just make
But
the event, gamify the event, and just do
that's
them
true. That's
differently.
true. That's true. You got to leave them with some nugget,
Yeah.
something that changes their lives, some things that, well, when they come to you, that summit or that mixer, they remember you for,
Yes.
because that's what we do this for. We don't really do it for the clout. We do it because we want to see people succeed. And
Yeah.
as women in business, we have a job to run. We have to be the motivational people that inspire others. That's what we're here for. We wouldn't be
Yes.
speaking at summits and doing these events if we didn't have an end goal of making someone better, stronger, and wiser.
I agree. Okay, so kind of wrapping up here, what would be the best advice that you could give somebody that really maybe they're not in a position to get an event producer or a concierge service and they really want to do something? What would be your best advice for them?
Well, just like Nike said, just do it. Just do it. Don't think about it. Don't worry about it. Put pen to paper, get your little notebook, and start making a plan, open the first page. Look, I can lie if I want to. Master plan. Make your master plan.
Yes.
Because the more planned and organized you are, the better success you're going to get, because a lot of times businesses start without a plan. They don't have a business plan. They don't have a marketing plan. They just have an idea. They might be like selling the best clothes or the best, food, but because they're not investing in their marketing, or maybe they're investing little in their marketing,
Yeah.
they're not going to get that result. But because they didn't have a plan, because everything starts with a plan, a strategy, and execution. So
Yep.
if you can have a plan and strategy and execution, PSE, you can do anything, whether you have money or not. I started my business with no business funds. I said, I will try to do this. I'll have 2 jobs until I can figure this out. And I did. So it's just about how bad you want it and how resilient you want to be. And
Right.
if you're ready to network with the right people and not feel nervous. When I met you, Holly, I was really nervous because I was really inspired by your speech. I mean, your speech, everything that you said at Manny's thing. And I thought, I looked you up, like, because you had that, text this number for Holly or something.
Oh,
Like, that's what Manny does.
yeah.
And so I did. And I came alone to that summit and I didn't go with a friend. So this was out of my wheelhouse because normally when I go to mixers, I have a friend with me or a colleague or
Sure.
employee or somebody. So I was nervous and I knew Manny because I had met him virtually before I had come to the summit. So I was like, man, how am I gonna approach her? Like she's talking to a lot of like really well-to-do people, and then I go up to you and I'm like, she's a beautiful spirit, and
Oh,
I just loved your energy and I loved how confident you were, and you left me with a nugget that I'll never forget on your speech. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go follow her. As soon as I get home, I'm gonna follow her. I'm gonna add her on LinkedIn. And you added me back, and I was like, you know what? I am something in this life, and and you know what? I was just starting my business. Like that was year 3 of my business when I was there.
yeah.
So I was like, I have to keep in connection with her. And then I said that, and we lost touch. And then I messaged you randomly, and I said, "Hey, Holly, how you been?" And then the rest is history. So
Yeah.
I think things happen for a reason, and you meet people for a season, a reason, or treason. No, I'm just kidding. Not treason, but
Hopefully not.
no. But I think people are meant to cross your path for different reasons, and my reason is you've inspired me to be a better entrepreneur, and I just want to thank you for that.
Oh, well, thank you. Well, it was my pleasure to meet you. And I thought you were super confident, and I just thought you'd been doing it forever and ever. And
No, I was so nervous. I was
oh,
like,
it
well,
was great. You
you.
didn't come across that way. And I think that's just do it. Like you said, do it scared. Who cares? Like we get so attached to oh my gosh, what ifs and
Yeah,
how are we going to be looked at and judged and what are they thinking? Who cares? Like really,
that's true.
if we can just get over that and just realize I'm just me, I'm going to be me. And if they don't like it, they're not my ideal customer anyway,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
There's the door. See you later. Enjoy.
Yeah.
Have a great life. But you're going to
Yeah.
attract the right people just by
And
being yourself.
actually, I think there's a power in manifesting your thoughts and ideas, because a lot of times when you first start out, you get a lot of no's. And it used to bother me. And I'd come home and be like, what did I do wrong? I made a great presentation. You know what I mean? And then, then I realized one day, I was like, because I like to read like motivational books. And
Sure.
there's John Maxwell. There's so many, Tony Robbins. But I don't know where I read this, but it said NO means next opportunity.
I love that.
So, you know, if someone says no, that just means you have a next opportunity.
Yeah. That's right.
And
And sometimes I would say if you get so many that then maybe look at your messaging, look at how you're approaching things and look how you're are promoting and marketing things because sometimes that definitely can matter as well. But also that's another reason to just hire a professional, spend that time teaching
that's true.
what you know and hire
That's true.
someone to do all those details, especially if you're not good at details, because there are a lot of details that come up in this.
Hmm.
It's not my
Hmm.
favorite thing to do, but I just put the right team in place and voila.
Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
I love the details.
Yeah.
I don't like
I,
doing all of them. I'm more
I
that
think
detail girl.
I think also as a business owner, we want to be perfectionists in our because we want to see and vision things that are what we have in our mind, but no one can read our mind. And if we can delegate, and the minute you learn to delegate stuff in your business is the minute that you scale, because that is something that took me a while to understand because I
Yeah.
wanted to keep my costs low. And then when I was running these events, I was like, wait, I can't be at the front and back.
No.
I need an assistant. I need someone collecting the money. I need somebody to run the sound. Even if I had a machine that I bought and the lights and all that, I still need someone to run it. And
Yeah.
so finally, I was like, because I was doing smaller events in the beginning, and then I went to bigger and bigger in conferences and things like that.
Yeah.
But then when I found the vetted people that I knew would always be on time, that I knew that I didn't have to give directions to, that light bulb went boom. And I was like, this is where I'm meant to be. I'm a coordinator, producer of an event. That's where my lane is because
Yeah.
I'm able to pivot and I'm able to find the right people. It's almost like being an Angie's List. Oh, do you know a plumber? Yes, I do.
Yeah.
Do you know a roofer? Yes, I do. But now mine is more for businesses. More
Yeah.
like, okay, do you know a person that's really good at retreats? Yeah, her name's Holly Porter. Here's her information. Find her on LinkedIn. Tell her I
Right.
sent you. Like I'm almost like a virtual Angie's List. And I
Yeah.
never knew growing up, being lived in 4 countries and 3 US states, that I would now, at 38 years old, be leveraging those people that I met in my life that are now essential parts of what I do in my business. Because without them, oneself wouldn't really be here.
And here you are. Well, I appreciate you coming on the show today. I hope that our listeners have, and I'm sure they have. I always learn things from my guests. hopefully you've learned about retreats a little bit more, or about events and retreats we're talking about. But I think it's important because it's a lot the same. You're creating an event, and whether it be
and
a
you bring value.
wedding, a funeral, a retreat, or an online summit, they're all events.
Yes. And Holly, you bring a lot of value to what you do, to your retreats. I mean, I can't wait to go to one. I have not been, but I will go. That's going to be my 2025 goal, to go to one of your events, to see you and give you a hug, and just thank you for being the woman that you are.
You better. I would love that.
I will.
All right. Well, until next time, everyone, thanks, Natasha, for joining us. That was some great information, and I really appreciate it. And we'll see everybody later. Bye for now.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of All Things Retreat. We hope you're leaving with new ideas, fresh inspiration, and the motivation to take your retreats to the next level. Don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review. It helps us grow and reach more retreat leaders like you. And if you have any questions, topics you'd like us to cover, or just want to say hello, send us an email at info@weretreatrnr.com. Follow us on social media to stay connected and catch all the latest updates. Until next time, remember, great retreats start with great intentions. Let's make them extraordinary, one step at a time.